Well, this week we're talking about Imperial Salt. Now, Imperial Salt has a very, very close spot in my heart. Even though my kids don't like Star Wars, well, Justin doesn't like Star Wars, so it's kind of hard to get to the table because of his dislike of Star Wars figures, somebody that doesn't care for Star Wars. But it means a lot to me because it is the very first battling brushes that we ever did and live event that we did down in Nice Tower a couple of years ago. And we painted it all up and we gave it away to charity, and it was just a great experience to do it. But I really enjoyed the game. It has a lot of dissent in it, but it also has that feel that you can, it takes a different turn. It has a good theme. It does involve you in the Star Wars theme, and it's very apparent there. But, where it mirrors Descent, it's completely opposite of Descent, if that makes any sense, because of the fantasy version. And I would love to see them, which would really make the game great, in my opinion, is if they were able to take and put an app for the Imperial Salt. And I think that would be really, really cool, where you can have like an entire campaign run on your tablet, so that one person doesn't have to be the overlord all the time. Well, with that said, and my thoughts done, why don't we take a look at what everybody else has to say? Guys, take it away.
So this week's community assignment was all about Imperial Assault. Imperial Assault was really the first game that I ever got, which was a one versus many. Now, I've played a lot of one versus many in the forms of like RPGs, where as the DM, you're there more as a facilitator to facilitate the story and ensure that the players have a great time, as opposed to playing an adversary. And that's where I struggle sometimes with Imperial Assault and other one versus many games, is what is the role of the Imperial player? Is it to let the players have a great experience and lead them on a story and lead them through the campaigns where they get to experience and level up and have epic battles? Or do you play it as a true head-to-head game where the Imperial player is actively trying to defeat the Rebel player? I always tend to take it easy on my Rebel players because of that, because I want them to have a great experience, I want them to have a great game, and I really want them to enjoy what they do. And I feel that sometimes when the one player ends up beating the four other players, it tends to be sometimes the enthusiasm sometimes dies or dwindles. In addition to it being my first game that was one versus many, it was also the first game that really got me into miniatures painting. I've painted the figures for the Rebels, and I've got, see if I can get into there with the, get him right there, the Garkin. Again, I think that was a lot of fun and really helped, and I've really been able to see my painting skills personally get better, to where Garkin would have been one of the early ones that I would have painted, and then more recently I would have painted, I don't know if I can get him in here real good, see him, there we go a little bit, but there's my Lando Calrissian, and my Lando Calrissian I think was really good. I think again I can see, as I watch Rob's videos and I watch other painters really develop in the skill of painting. And I think that's a lot of fun. And I think it adds so much character to the games, and adds that personal touch that makes it that much more enjoyable. I think that Imperial Assault is one of those games that, if you take the time and put the effort into making it look better, I think that everybody has a much better time playing it. The part of the fun of the one versus many with Descent and Imperial Assault is the immersion that you can get into that game, where you take on that role of the player, and you and the other players interact, and you really get to do a little bit of that role playing, which is kind of fun as well. But it's not so deep like a Dungeons and Dragons or a Pathfinder, which gives that light feel, which I think a lot of players like to do, because I think deep down everyone really likes to role play stuff in their games. But Imperial Assault gives the opportunity to do that in a great setting. That being said, I think Imperial Assault is a great game. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. I have played it with 2 people, all the way to modifying rules so I could have 5 Rebel players play against it. And I've always actually played the Imperial side, which has been fun. And again, I really like the game master aspect of Imperial Assault. So I think it's a great game. I've enjoyed it, and again, being the game that got me into the miniature painting hobby, it'll always be in my collection just because I love to paint it and just look at all the painted minis that I've got there. And it's been a lot of fun. So that's my review, and I hope to do one again.
Hi folks, today I'm giving my thoughts on Star Wars Imperial Assault. Let's put it down for a minute. Okay, well, it's interesting. We've looked at Descent, and Descent originated from Doom, and improvements were made from Doom, which then became Descent, and then Descent went 2nd edition, and then Star Wars Imperial Assault came along. And yeah, it's Descent with a Star Wars theme, but not quite. Let me see if I can try and explain. There are one or two things that, as they'd refined things from Doom to Descent, that they refined from 2nd edition Descent into Star Wars Assault. One of the things that always kind of drove me a little bit mad, especially with 2nd edition, was this notion that if you were playing as the Dungeon Master, you were playing as the gamekeeper. The best strategy, which was also the one that was least fun for all the players, was for basically the Dungeon Lord to go, let's beat down on the weakest player, whether it made thematic sense or not. Because by taking that player out of the equation, you were going to win the game. And that's kind of one of the weird things that I've always found with a lot of dungeon crawls. Occasionally, a roleplay element has to come into them. Otherwise, the game boils down to a pure mechanic, and especially if you're playing a campaign, it doesn't work. One of the things I particularly like that they changed between Descent and the Star Wars Imperial Assault, which one of the things that used to drive me slightly mad, was when you were attacking in Descent, you always had that really irritating dice with the X on it, which meant no matter how many gazillion dice you were about to roll, if that X came up, you missed, and that was it. And in Star Wars Imperial Assault, I quite like the fact that they changed that over to the defense dice. So instead of the player missing, the defending player actually got the chance to dodge, which I thought was quite nice. I suppose my other interesting thoughts on that was many people have sort of turned around and said, why is it also a tabletop skirmish game? Well, I've been told an interesting tale, and whether it's true or not, I can't say for sure, that because of the licensing agreement that companies have with the Star Wars franchise around the world, that Fantasy Flight couldn't actually bring out a board game, a Star Wars board game, because Hasbro had the license to do that. But by declaring it was a miniatures game, then that was fine. I also think it's something to do with the fact that Fantasy Flight aren't stupid. If they can produce a crazy amount of Star Wars miniatures, they're going to sell. X-Wing sells massive amounts, and so do a lot of the other games. Have I played the miniatures game? Yes, I have actually. I've played the skirmish game. I think it's okay. And although Star Wars Assault isn't necessarily my favourite sci-fi game, you have to buy it. You have to get it. Because it's Star Wars, and if you don't like Star Wars, you are not a normal person. Anyway, thanks for listening to my rantings, and I hope to speak to you again next time. Oh, and by the way, I thought it was Ticket to Ride this time. Only joking. Enjoy yourselves.
Hey everybody, hey Rob, my name is Kurt, aka the Vitruvian Gamer, and today we are doing a community review of Imperial Assault, a game set of course in the Star Wars universe. Awesome! Now I'm playing this game with some friends of mine, and I'll talk about that later after the next part of this video, because I really like this game. This is a really good game, but I have someone here in my studio that is not so happy with this game. So I invited him here, and I'm going to do a little interview with him. Now, he wanted to stay anonymous, so I'm putting a little bit of a small black stripe across his eyes, so you won't recognize him, of course. And of course we'll also change up his voice. That's what he asked. But here we go with our interview. Hi sir, welcome to my show. How are you today?
Well, thanks for inviting me. I'm doing okay, thank you very much.
So today we are discussing Imperial Assault, but apparently you're not too happy about this game, right?
You're absolutely right. Now, see, I don't mind Star Wars games, of course. Well, I'm from Star Wars, you see. But why didn't they put me in the game? I cannot understand. It's it's unbelievable. I'm important. Look, I have a red banner, and this means I'm very important. So they should have put me into this game. They put other people like these small stormtroopers in the game. I can understand that, but come on, it's always Chewbacca or Han Solo. Look, I'm handsome. So why couldn't they do this? Look, I'm handsome as well. I have been to the gym. I have a six-pack. It's just unbelievable.
I understand, but you have to admit, the game was made before your movie, of course.
Okay, details. They could have just asked me before that, and I would have changed my uniform into the old Stormtrooper uniform. Oh, please don't get me started about those old-fashioned uniforms. They could have just waited a couple of months, and then the movie would they would be selling a lot more copies of this because, well, look at this. This is just amazing. So I cannot believe they didn't put me into this game. It is unbelievable.
Well, I guess you will stay unhappy with this situation, I understand. But still, thank you for coming to my studio, and thanks for this interview. And I wish you much luck in the future, and I hope there will be a game with you in it pretty soon. Thank you. Alright, there you go. Not everybody is a big fan of the game, with their own reasons, of course. I am a fan. Now, I am playing this game with with another couple, together with my girlfriend, and we are liking it very much. I am playing the bad guys in this game, of course, because I am the one who read the rules, and that's a little bit of the downside of these kind of games, in my opinion. You always have to have one player who plays the bad guys, just like in Descent. And that's something I don't like too much. It's harder for me to get those games on the table. Now they are talking about doing the same as Descent, making an app for this, so you can play it completely cooperative. If that happens, I'm completely all over it again, because it's the only reason why I have not traded this game away is that I'm in the middle of a campaign with friends of mine, but it is very hard to get them to get set a date to play this game, which is pretty annoying. We are trying much. Now I'm going to rant. Christoph and Kate, you're very good friends of mine, but please open some days in your schedule. I want to continue this game with you all. Oh man. Alright, sorry. Now, anyway, what else? This is one more thing I want to talk about, and that's, well, these dudes here. Imperial Assault is the first game where I painted some miniatures. There they are. Now, they're absolutely, let's see if I can focus, they're absolutely not perfect, as you can see, but this is the first game that I tried it because of Rob Oren. Yes, Rob, thank you for doing that, for inspiring me to paint this. Now I only painted them stormtroopers, so I have to do a lot more things to get this finished. And I've got some other games I want to paint, so okay. But anyway, this was Imperial Assault, a great game about Star Wars. So what's not to like, right? So if you're interested in Star Wars, this probably is a game for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you probably next time in Community Review. Bye bye.
Hey Rob, everybody. So today we're going to be talking about Ticket to Ride, a game. What? Oh, he changed it. So apparently Rob changed it from Ticket to Ride. Does that mean I can't talk about how much I love Airlines Europe better? Or no? But I really wanted to show him how to paint the minis for these games. No? Okay. Okay, so apparently we're not going to be talking about Ticket to Ride. Instead, we're going to be talking about Imperial Assault. Imperial Assault. So let's change it. It didn't work. So. Oh, use the force? Okay. you are seeing the other game. Okay, so Imperial Assault, or as I like to call it, why don't I play this game more? So I've been thinking about it this week. Why don't I play Imperial Assault more? I've played it a couple times with other people's copies. I enjoyed it. Enough to buy my own copy, obviously. The minis are wonderful, despite the fact that I cut myself a couple times trying to put this little guy together. But I never painted it. I haven't felt the need to. And I'm wondering maybe that'll make me want to play it more. I don't know. But I feel like the main reason I don't play it so much is because I still enjoy Descent so much that when given the choice between playing, say, Descent or Imperial Assault, I'm going to choose Descent still. I prefer the theme of Descent, despite the fact I do love Star Wars. So it just doesn't get the play that I think it deserves, in my opinion. And eventually that might change, especially given FFG has said that they are going to do an app for it. And I know that might be later this year or next year. And that might change my mind if I can sit and play it that way. But currently there isn't. I will admit that I've never done the campaign mode. I've only done the skirmish on the game, and maybe that's also why, because I've always played my campaigns with Descent, whereas Imperial Assault I've only done the skirmish. But I think I'm also afraid that the Imperial player in the campaigns is going to suffer the same problem that I feel like an Overlord sometimes does, and then maybe needs to hold back. I could be wrong, and I'm looking forward to hearing how everyone else in our community thinks on that. With that said, Imperial Assault is a great game. I said I have enjoyed it several times. It will get to the table more. But for now, it mostly remains on the shelf. Sadly. Alright, everyone. And Rob, I look forward to seeing what you've got in store for us next. And take care.
Well, there you have it. Another community review. Thanks to everybody that participated. And remember, it's not too hard to do this. 30 seconds to 3 minutes. Even if you went over, it doesn't even matter. We just squash them all together. I want to thank everybody for being a part of this and all the new people that are coming in. And hey, let's make this a success and have more people do this. And look for a vlog where we decide what the next review is going to be. We'll see you in 2 weeks with another community review. Until next time, I'm Rob Warren. Have a great week.